let's talk about the Barbie movie.
Can I come to your house tonight?
Oh God, why didn't anybody tell me?
Now, of course, I took time out to go and watch this movie with my 19-year-old daughter, who was extremely hyped for this movie. And we got all dressed up, made sure that we looked good, and we sat down to have a good time. But it turns out that I found this movie to actually be pretty trash, pretty garbage. It wasn't interesting whatsoever to me. My daughter loved it, again, for reasons I won't explain. But as for me, I couldn't stand it.
I said what I said!
Now, I'm willing to take the time to go over every little detail about what I hate about this movie, but there's actually one particular instance that I would like to focus on that I think that if they gave this instance a bit more attention than they did, that my perspective on this movie might be slightly different.
Yup!
And that is the issue that we have with America Ferrera's character, Gloria, and her daughter, Sasha, played by Ariana Greenblatt. Now, here's the thing with this. Let me give a synopsis. Because in this movie, what we have going on is that there is a Barbie fantasy land. And in this Barbie fantasy land, of course, there's the different types of Barbies that exist. Not only that, there's also the different variations of Ken that exist. And these versions of these dolls exist in the real world. And the kids that play with them, basically their characters reflect in the Barbie fantasy land, even resulting in different Barbies being made based off of either how they are played with or, of course, what Mattel, the industry that creates Barbie, comes up with based off of those experiences. Hence, for example, where we get the weird Barbie in that regard. However, what this leads to is the stereotypical Barbie, played by Margot Robbie, ends up having these thoughts of death starting off. She ends up going flat-footed based off of what experiences are taking place in the real world. She ends up even getting a little bit of cellulite on her thigh from that, and she doesn't know what's happening because all of these things are separate from what they experience in the Barbie fantasy land, which, again, just to clarify, in their mind, the Barbie Fantasyland is convinced that based off of how they conduct themselves and how everything is so joyful, peaceful, and wonderful, quote unquote, that is a reflection of what's actually happening in the real world. But that doesn't turn out to be the case. Based off of the wisdom given by Weird Barbie, she is sent into the real world to go and aid whoever her current owner is in that world, whose experiences are being reflected in the stereotypical Barbie. And so in her going into this world, she thinks that the person that is being troubled and going through all of these hard times is that of Sasha. Now, in encountering Sasha, she expects that in her presenting herself, showing herself to be real, giving her that peppy, happy, joyous personality that stereotypical Barbie has, that she'd be able to connect with her and bring some light and life to her just by being there. However, this leads to Sasha completely going off on her, calling her the problem, even going to the extent of accusing her of being a fascist, if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube.
Whoa, hey.
But the thing with that is that this, again, leads to her realizing, hey, she's not actually my original owner. It's her mother. And it turns out that what this leads to is giving us this clear picture of the issue is that there's a problem between the relationship with Gloria, the mother, and her daughter, Sasha. And this is reflected because Gloria would play Barbies with her daughter, Sasha, when she was little. Now, of course, the movie does go through the two of them partnering together to aid Barbie in fixing the issues that end up occurring in Barbie Land. The Kens end up taking over, establishing the Kendom, and now we have a patriarchy where in Barbie Fantasy Land, it was actually a matriarchy. What? Which apparently some would argue that a matriarchy is better than a patriarchy, not realizing that the movie takes the time to point out that either way we would have the same type of drama and struggles, although they would like to argue back that even though we would have the same type of problems and struggles, at least women aren't as bad as men in power versus women in power. There's a whole thing, which I could go into, but I'm gonna behave. I also could talk about the subtle messages that they were giving with the girls playing with baby dolls versus Barbie dolls and having them destroy their baby dolls and what that might mean, but I won't go into that. I could go into how they have a trans Barbie, though I don't necessarily have an issue with there being a trans Barbie. It's the trans Barbie turning out to be a doctor in the Barbie fantasy land, but I'm not going to go into that. We're just going to continue to focus on Gloria and Sasha. But like I said, they do take the time for the mother and the daughter to come together to go to the Barbie fantasy land and help them fix things. And even Gloria gives this rousing speech about what it's like to be a woman, and fully being a woman is an impossible feat because we are capable of great things, but then we feel like we're not able to do enough. And she gives this whole long list about the trials of what it means to be a woman.
Be pretty for men, but not so pretty that you tempt them too much or that you threaten other women, because you're supposed to be a part of the sisterhood. But always stand out and always be grateful. But never forget that the system is rigged, so
etc., etc. Though I found that speech to be very ignorant in every instance of claims that were being made. They don't go as far as to fix the relationship, and I say that in detail, between the mother and her daughter. What happens in the movie is we get glimpses early on by Barbie into the relationship between Sasha and Gloria when Sasha's growing up as a little child. When they're playing with Barbies, they give us subtle images of when Gloria's doing what she likes by drawing pictures, and Sasha showing up and them showing love to one another, to leading to Sasha not really wanting anything to do with her mom, but having to get rid of her stuff and sell it to Goodwill, and the only thing that she wouldn't get rid of is a Barbie doll. Now let me clarify what I mean by that. We're getting these subtle images that are actually, from what I can see, are leading to pointing out that Gloria ends up becoming a woman consumed with work and business, which has hindered the relationship between herself and her daughter, Sasha, because she actually turns out to be either an administrator or a secretary for the main company of Mattel, which is a place where she seems to spend most of her time. And although the movie is trying to hyper express how women can be anything that they want to be, which is the purpose of Barbie originally, where they're focusing on that, and where they're focusing on them being able to operate in certain positions of leadership, certain positions of power, certain occupations, and that being important and necessary. At the same time, they're trying to say that that was a part of the problem that contributed to the bad relationship between Sasha and Gloria, but the movie yet still ends with it being better to have them back in those positions of power. Now, they try to, I guess you could say, deceive us by saying the Kens had overthrown and the women came together to take it back, and now this is supposed to be some image of equality, but it's only an image of equality in the land of Barbie. As long as the men stay under the women, then it'll work. Trust me, there's so much that I could say on that, but I'm gonna keep it under control. If you really want me to break this down, then let me know in the comment section that this is what you want. Also, make sure, guys, that you hit that like button as well as hit that subscribe button. That way we're continuing to build up this channel and this platform. Ain't you supposed to be on a break? You're not supposed to be doing any videos? I mean, yes, I am taking a break, but I am planning on coming back over the next couple of months, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. But to come back to rip on the Barbie movie and the amount of time it takes you to edit a YouTube video, it's not like you're taking a break at all. Oh, come on, you didn't have to take a shot at me like that. I mean, yes, it does, take me a while to make videos, but that's because I'm editing it by myself. That's the, again, reason I'm taking the break to begin. And the one time you do a video, you want to rip on the Barbie movie? I mean, come on. You gotta admit that the Kens were funny. Ryan Gosling really killed it. And America Ferrera's speech was not ignorant, okay? You need to take some time to actually listen to the speech. Okay, you've made your point. You've made your point. All right? Oh, they're looking like you a Ken yourself. Like a Ken? Yeah, you look like a Ken. And I look darn good doing it, too. Besides, Ken is in my name. Ken is in both our names. I know we're both Kens. Our name's Kentario. Well, we're not one of those Ken dolls. Don't get it twisted. Maybe not you, but this Ken right here, flyest man in the kingdom. Alright, you can leave now. You can leave. You can leave. Go sit on the shelf and wait for a Barbie to come tell you what to do next. You sitting here and make videos. I'm going out here to make this home my kingdom. Hey, baby. Like I said, they go back to us reestablishing the matriarchy and ensuring that we're going to make the men have power but not really have influence. And you really just need to figure out who you are by yourself. Again, not opening up that can of worms. But they want to put everything basically still back the way it was. So the mom's still going back to work, even though her being in this position of work is a part of what contributed to the damaging relationship between her and her daughter. Let's break that down a little bit more. Because you see, when it comes to Sasha, Sasha sees that everything wrong with the world is happening because of the patriarchy, because men are in power, because men are abusing women, and then we have women that are okay with that, and then we have women that think that they're doing things to make change, but they're actually doing more harm. And Sasha even has a line where the one thing that they can agree on is one thing that men and women can agree on is their hatred of women, which I thought was a really sick statement of her to make. And then we find out, again, with the speech that Gloria gives, that the things that Gloria believes in a lot of ways aligns with what Sasha has been believing. But she never knew that her mother saw things this way. She never knew that her mom was adventurous or had dreams and visions and wants things to change or sees how dark things actually are. And they use that to be what reconstitutes the relationship between Sasha and Gloria. And I, in my opinion, my perspective, though I am a man, believe that that is a huge miss for where the problems actually lie between the relationship between a mother and a daughter, at least from what they're giving us in this movie. Now, let me add to that, right? Because one, like I said earlier, what they are pointing out is that, well, Gloria's a working woman. Gloria's high up at the food chain, but she's just the one up under the CEOs in the office, but she's apparently making good money. However, in spite of that, that is what leads to her having these thoughts of death and worried about her body and, again, hating the patriarchy, all of these different issues and wanting to be a rebel woman and wanting to be rebellious. These are what they use to connect with her daughter. And she even has this one instance where Gloria says something about where she's driving recklessly and speeding to try and get away from the agents of Mattel. And so she expresses that she learned all this from an old boyfriend that she once had who was a bit, adventurous like that. No respect or acknowledgement of her husband. But we again, this is what's used to reestablish a relationship between Gloria and Sasha. But they're not identifying how the mother, when she was home, spending time with her daughter, was when their relationship was genuine, when their relationship was good. When the mother began to focus more on work and more on business, is when we see that relationship actually become distant. Now, I know for those of you that love the Barbie movie that are watching this video and not liking anything that I've said thus far, one of the things that you will probably argue against, isn't that what men do? Isn't that what men do anyway? They get up, they go to work, and then they come home all tired, and then they expect us to fix everything, and they don't spend any time with their kids. They don't take care of their kids. They don't bathe them. They don't this, they don't that. Where's the husband? Exactly my point. Where's the husband? Where's the husband in this situation, right? Because that's the other piece of the pie that they also aren't clearing up. They don't verify that the husband is working. So we're only, as the audience, left to assume that he is a homebody husband. And when it comes to anything that he does like to do with his time, it's just sitting on his phone, playing games, and or learning a different language, it looks like. But otherwise, it doesn't look as though the father isn't instilling or teaching any values with his daughter, spending any time nurturing and caring for her daughter. And there's a lot of evidence to constitute that even if a man is the stay-at-home father, that the quality time that he gives to his daughter does affect her perspective on the relationship between men and women in a supporting fashion, to where she doesn't have a nihilistic view of the way that society actually is. And so with that being the case, that the daughter ends up turning out to be more of a nihilistic young woman and fearing the patriarchy and thinking, and maybe even thinking that a matriarchy is better, that the father may not be as close to his daughter as the movie could have took the time to give us that, if that was the case. So we have, where based off the movie, that the daughter has really been left to herself, left to her own devices, left to her own research to establish her own ideas, which is a part of what causes this damaging relationship between her and her parents. And that's where, again, I say that if they actually focused on the fact that, you know what, me not being home with you, me not spending time with you, me not building on our relationship, me not showing you how to be a strong woman when it comes to facing the good and the bad things about the world, how can we function as a part of this household How can we function as a part of society, being that I couldn't bring those things to the table with you? That's why things ended up this way between us. No, it's because we actually didn't agree that the world is jacked up about the patriarchy and the matriarchy, and there's really nothing we can do about it except just keep on keeping on. That's really all that they give you. They don't give you a resolution for the issues that they're dealing with in the real world. That's the crazy thing about this movie. They had an opportunity. They had an opportunity to illustrate of a stay-at-home father being able to have that impact. But in all actuality, where they could assume that the way that the patriarchy is, that's why that father is the way that he is. No. Had that father stepped up to care for his daughter, to be there for her, to answer her questions, to support her when the wife's at work. If we're going to role reverse, then we need to effectively role reverse. But they didn't do that in this movie. And again, I think that has been the greatest hindrance. If you guys want me to give a full reaction to this video and hit on every single marker, and even more so, come in with a Christian twist here on the end, let me know in the comment section, and I will come back to do a video on that when I have the time. Thank you guys so very much, and I really appreciate your support, even though I have been gone for some time from YouTube and from TikTok. And I look forward to coming back and bringing back better content, better editing, and even more so, just spending time with you guys in the Word of God when it comes to anime, manga, and comic books. Thank you guys for your patience. I love y'all. Y'all be blessed. Peace.